Howdy folks and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another advanced tutorial episode for War in the East 2. Having briefly discussed about how to micromanage the Soviet Air Force, the time has come to talk about how to micromanage in general the Axis Air Force. Even though I should say the Luftwaffe, because I won't spoiler it now, but I will tell you this at the end. The most important thing for the Axis Air Force / the Luftwaffe starts on turn 1. I've made a tutorial about how to, improve the existing air doctrines for the first turn, whose goal is to catch as many planes on the ground as possible. Briefly, just to recapitulate this, in the air doctrine screens, doctrines are executed in, I would say chronological order, basically from the top to the bottom one. The tutorial that I've uploaded on the channel was just my way, my interpretation of how could I improve the existing air doctrines. If you want to be surgical, if you want to have a surgical precision, what you can do is to micromanage even more. Micromanage the doctrines even more by creating individual doctrines per each enemy airbase. The goal is to first of all target the air bases with fighters, and then you can target air bases hosting bombers. Now, some people only target the air bases with fighters, and then they just overrun in the ground phase the air bases with bombers. And again, some people like to do these long-range strikes. I'm personally not a big fan of these because they just increase the losses of your experienced air crews, basically. And past day 1, you can simply forget about the bomber air groups. And the reason of why, I never mentioned this in the logistics tutorial, but the Axis suffers a penalty in terms of freight that is being moved and distributed to the units. And this penalty lasts until March 1942. So what I highly recommend you folks to do, as soon as you're done with the turn 1, I think at the end of turn 1, you can either send your bomber air groups in the reserve tier box, and I think by now you should know how to do it via the commander's report, or you can pick all of your bomber air groups and you park them around Berlin, around Frankfurt, Vienna and Prague, where you have the national supply sources, so that they will be resupplied without affecting the amount of freight which is needed by the ground troops fighting on the Eastern Front. Once this penalty is over in March 1942, you can bring back your bombers and you can, use them to help your troops in the offensive and defensive battles. And just a quick note, the only planes, twin-engine bombers, that I would not move away from the Eastern Front are the ones carrying mines. At least keep 1 or 2 air operational groups of bombers capable of carrying mines, because these will be incredibly useful in running interdiction missions around enemy ports. And talking about missions, let's say from 1942 onward, the most important one is the Ground Support Air Directive, which is, I would say, both useful in the offense and in the defense. Now, the Axis, the air recon missions are crucial. They are absolutely critical. You don't have the cavalry divisions. You cannot build new units, and these type of missions, and of course your recon planes, are the only asset that you have with which to scout the enemy territory. Make sure, absolutely make sure, that all of your recon missions are escorted by fighters. Recon planes are um, quite rare, and they are, in my opinion, the most valuable planes you have on the Eastern Front, because it's crucial that you gain as much information as possible whenever you are planning an offensive on an, let's say, a terrain that could maybe um, let's say, facilitate your the movement of your Panzer and motorized divisions. Like if you want to break through the Dnieper in Mogilev, you have to make sure that there are either no troops, or if there are enemy troops, you want to make sure that you collect as much information as possible about the enemy troops to reduce the malus associated to the, like, a surprise effect of fighting without or fighting with a poor recon level. The other mission that is highly recommended for Axis players is the air superiority directives, because this is very helpful in preventing the enemy from resupplying isolated pockets. Of course, this requires some, let's say, thinking ahead. Like if you plan to, I don't know, to encircle, I don't know, the Bialystok-Minsk salient, and you are not sure whether the enemy can fly in some supply, some supply from the air, you should run an air superiority mission. Small spoiler: to prevent the Soviets from resupplying from the air the Bialystok-Minsk salient, you have to take Grodno and Bialystok, because these are the, let's say, two exactly two provinces, and Barnavici as well, and Kobrin and Brest-Litovsk. Yeah, so you need to take these four, because for whatever reason the AI likes to bring resupplies to already existing depots. If you take out these four depots, the AI will not fly. Sorry, five depots. The AI will not fly any air air supply mission, so you can save your fighters for the air superiority. And this is also this mission can be quite helpful in protecting your lines during the enemy air phase, in case the enemy is doing some air interdiction or again air superiority. And the last mission that is, in my opinion, highly recommended for the Axis is the naval patrol mission, because with this you can, as I mentioned before, run interdiction, let's say, activity around enemy ports, and this is incredibly useful if you want to besiege places like Leningrad. If you can't manage to take Ozinovets, but most importantly, this can be very helpful in taking, in isolating the two major fortresses, the one in Odessa and the one in Sevastopol. The last bit of information that I kind of want to share with you is the fate of the Axis minor air forces. That's why I wanted to call this video the Luftwaffe management, because in the end it will be the German Air Force, the one doing the bulk of the job, because the Hungarian, the Romanian and the Italian air forces are just crap. Again, because of a matter of experience. You don't want them to fight the Soviet Air Force for no reason at all. Some players just don't care about these. Others send the entire AOGs to the garrison theater box, just to keep them there, because yeah, maybe they will help in hunting partisans. I have no idea, but yeah, just, let's say, besides turn one, just, you can forget about the Hungarian and the Romanian and the Italian air forces when it will arrive on the map, because it's just useless and pointless. And I would say, yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you folks learned something new. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you all in the last advanced tutorial next week, which will deal with the commander's report. Thank you very much, folks, and I'll see you all in the next episode. And it's not over yet, because I just realized after recording the episode that there was still one, let's say, topic that I never touched in both in both the Soviet and in this episode. And before any one of you comes up in the comments saying why you didn't talk about this, I'm gonna say it right now. The topic is the difference between the automatic and the manual plane upgrades. Now, briefly, there are two ways to upgrade your planes. One is manual, and it requires a lot of micromanagement because it involves you going to the specific air group. You can select one, and then if it's set on manual, you can select which planes you want to re-equip your air group. Otherwise, if it's set on automatic, the AI will take care of it. And trust me, you don't want the AI to take care of this. Yeah, I mean, joking aside, but it's really totally up to you, folks. The other way, and I'm showing it here to save some time from the next tutorial, which will deal with the commander's report, is to go in the air section, and here you have, let's say, the all of the options that you want to have. For instance, what I like to do, because I'm a bit of a lazy player, I leave them all, and I select just the fighters and the fighter bombers, and I change here the upgrade from manual to automatic, which means that when a new type of plane will be available in the pool, slowly but surely the AI will start replacing the existing planes with the new model, the new ones, yeah. And here you can play around with the options. In the next tutorial, I will show you some of the functions of the commander's report, but really you can select, in this case, for plane type, you can set for theater box here. Here you have the filter. You can filter for specific air operational groups. You have to manually type them, but really you have endless options. What I like to do, especially concerning fighters, I like to prioritize the fighters with the longest range. I'm not really into, how many guns and cannons a fighter plane has. I like more the range, because with a longer range means that they can escort my bombers, recon planes, and transfer planes deeper into or over the enemy territory. And mentioning the transport planes, here is one, let's say, trick that Axis players must always remember, or vice versa, that they must never ever do. And this is to set the transport groups equipped with the Junker JU 52/3M to automatic. And why is this? Because the Junker JU-52 does have these two 500 liters auxiliary tanks for fuel. And if you equip your Junkers with these extra fuel tanks, they get the largest range amongst all the Axis transport planes. This is of paramount importance to, first of all, upload this loadout, and then never ever change these into automatic. You want to keep your transfer planes, let's say, deep in the rear guard, close to depots which are in the deep rear of your I would say logistics network, because the goal of the transfer planes will be to move part of this freight from here to where is mostly needed on the front line. And we can show, yeah, exactly. So if you leave it, for instance, in Istanbul, you see here they can even reach up to Pskov. So it's crazy, this the range of the Junker Ju-52 3M. And of course, you don't want to bring the transfer planes forward, because just like with the bombers, they will just suck away freight and supplies and replacements that are more needed for your ground troops. So remember, keep this in mind. Keep your Ju-52 transfer groups on manual and never ever change them. Now that's really the end, folks. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode, in which we will talk about the commander's report.